Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, intuitive coach and founder of the Awakened Goddess Academy. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Penney Peirce is a respected clairvoyant empath, visionary, author, and popular lecturer and trainer. She is one of the early pioneers in the intuition development movement, specializing in inner energy dynamics, expanded perception, transformation, intuition development, and dream work. She's worked throughout the U.S., Europe, Japan, South America, and South Africa since 1977, coaching business and government leaders, psychologists, scientists, celebrities, and those on a spiritual path about the hidden dynamics of what makes for true success. Penney is the author of 9 books, including Leap of Perception, Frequency, and The Intuitive Way. Now let's welcome Penney to the show. Welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show, where we co-create powerful conscious conversations on the leading edge. Today I have Penney joining me to talk about her new book, Leap of Perception, The Transforming Power of Your Attention. But we're going to be talking about a lot more than that, and this is actually the third in a series for her. And I have her second book here, Frequency. It's very well loved. But first off, Penney, I have to tell you, I am part of this mastermind group that we meet every single morning. And the work we do, a lot of it is based in your work. And so I told the people that I was going to be interviewing you, and they were just so excited. They were like, "Oh my God, I can't wait for that to come out!" And it's
I
like
hope they had a lot of questions.
Yeah, so it's like your own personal fan club over here. But so let's start. You have 3 books in the series. So what was the catalyst for you? What was the impetus? What started this journey of writing these books and really tapping into this holographic information?
Yes. Well, I think that life kind of tricks you in a way. I remember when I first outlined my first book, The Intuitive Way, and I showed it to people. They said, "Oh, you have way too much material here. Go break it down. You have 3 books here." And I forgot about that, and I did break it down, and we did The Intuitive Way, which is a course on intuition development. That was the first phase. And that was just timely because I'd been teaching intuition trainings for quite a few years. And so this was the core material in that training, really. And I'd been doing readings as well. So I learned an awful lot about human nature by watching and seeing how people handle things and what they do in their mind and how their energy works with their outer personality. And so that just came naturally. Then it's like I waited a while, and I remember saying to my publisher that I think the next book would be An Advanced Intuitive Way, which would be about empathy. Well, she had meanwhile, published The Secret and had gone out on tour with the author of that book and came back from that and called me and said, "Penney, I don't think people are ready for empathy yet." She said that, people were still using all that material basically out of fear to try to make money. And they weren't quite getting it yet. So could I go back to the drawing board and rearrange all my ideas? So I did. And somehow out of that mess came Frequency. And it was almost like I was sitting at a coffee shop one morning trying to outline titles for that book. And the word frequency just went bam through and wrote itself on the paper. And I thought, oh no, you can't do that. Was a movie. I can't have that title. But then, anyway. So that almost exploded through me. I didn't really plan it, but once I started writing it, it wrote things by itself. Do you know that it took me a while after I finished it. I couldn't even remember what I'd written. And then I had to go out on tour to talk about it. And at that point, I really had to remember it all. And now going over and over and over it again, it integrated into me finally.
Yeah.
And my life changed because of it. I mean, literally, my frequency changed and stabilized and everything got a lot easier. And then it went, almost viral. That book has been way international and selling all over the place. So then I waited another little bit of time and I thought, oh, so what's the next thing? And it never was revealed to me ahead of time. It's always as though the world itself had to increase in frequency before I could get to the next level of what the whole process was about, because I had to match the frequency of the planet, and what was happening in the process. And as soon as I did, then leap of perception popped through, which was really the next step, which was about how is our perception changing? We are going through a transformation, but it's really a transformation of our consciousness and the way we perceive reality. And we're moving out of one kind of reality, linear perception, into a spherical and a holographic kind of perception, which is so different. It's like, living in a different dimension, really.
Yes.
And so I wanted to write, how was that going to happen? What would it be like when it does? What are the things we need to do to get it to happen? Really a roadmap. So it's just been a procedure of staying in the moment, really, and keep checking in to see what wants to happen next.
I love that, because you truly are on the leading edge. You are you're just paving the way for all of us to, you're kind of making this pathway easier for us, because, being the first of anything, you have to really be grounded and have that courage and trust and faith that this information that you're being downloaded with is the path. So I'm curious, how is it that you get that information?
I think it just comes from me having established a long-standing habit of asking myself questions and getting answers directly from myself somewhere inside myself. And, I think Buddhists call that the path of inquiry. I call it dialoguing with my inner perceiver, where I have this function. I think we have this function of our own mind that helps us notice what we notice. It reveals life to us in a sequence so that it makes sense to us and brings our lessons to us and gives us our insights and all that. So I made a decision quite a while ago to trust that function. So then I watch my reality every day and say, why is this happening? Or why did I just notice this? Or what's the hidden message? Or what am I trying to tell myself? And so it's a mindfulness practice, really. But so when I start to go into a book and I say, oh, okay, leap of perception, what is this all about? I have some vague idea, and what might I cover in this? And then I start making an outline and stuff comes. I say, oh, what will the chapter titles be? Well, then stuff comes. So it's still a continuation of this dialogue. And I don't read other people's books much, so I'm trying to copy or jump off of things other people have said. I just take it straight from the download.
And I think people are watching and listening to this, and they're saying, oh my God, how, on one level, you're, I think, tapping into this point that we all have this within. We all have access to this. But then there's that big piece about fear of, oh, but, how can I trust what it is that I'm getting?
Yeah. That's the key piece in developing intuition in the very beginning, is just realizing that, you already are your soul, but we have this function of the left brain that keeps us separated from that direct immersion into that higher consciousness, if that makes sense. It's like, the left brain to me, in simplistic terms, really compartmentalizes, and it has a lot of words and language around it, and it sort of is isolating. Too much left brain becomes ego, where you really get stuck in separation from everything else. But when you're in your left brain and you're in language a lot, you're not having direct experience or direct immersion into the moment and into the physical world. And when you stop talking and you drop more into the right brain and into the body and the heart and the field of energy around you, okay, well then it's almost like when you go into meditation, you can start to feel into the non-physical world and understand, how it's working and that it's very real. And you can feel those inner blueprints of your thought and feeling that help create your outer reality. And so that a lot of that is revealed to you when you can get quiet like that, yeah. So I mean, that's a big part of the process of trusting then, because you have to get into that feeling of connectedness first. Hey, I am connected to the soul. And hey, wait a minute, I am the soul right here, right now. I'm already connected. Mm-hmm. So if I get the fear out of the way, then the soul will express very fluidly through my personality. Yeah. And you have to just start trusting what you get. Little by little, build the habit, because you're trying to unlearn an old habit of fear and protection, self-protection, and like, oh, nobody loves me. And then feel, hey, wait a minute, I'm connected to everything. There's nothing but love, so how can I not feel loved? It's just some weird choice my left brain made. Yeah. That it's not even true at all. So anyway, you start practicing that and then using what you get, insights, or validating, hey, yeah, I was late for that appointment and I left a little bit too late. Mm-hmm. And I knew it, and just validate those small mundane things. Mm-hmm. And it builds.
Well, and the thing is we have this idea or expectation that we should know the whole path. It should be all laid out and it's like, okay, I know I need to do X, Y, and Z to get to that end result. But that's not how it's designed, right? We get one little step at a time.
Well, really, we are functioning at many different levels simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So, when you space out or dream at night, you go out to that bigger level of yourself where you contain like a vision for a long period of time, or you understand your whole life as a process. But then when you slow your frequency down and you come back to the body, then you have this illusion of time and space and matter, and things seem separate. And then you can have linear perception where A, B, C, D, and then it looks like simple tasks that are set in a sequence that you get to a goal. Except in the higher frequency, you're already in the goal.
Right.
You're already doing it.
Right. So we couldn't have this grand vision of who we want to become unless we already had it inside of us.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. And at the right time, it makes itself known. Mm-hmm. And then you think of it like, oh, I just got a great idea. But
yeah,
really,
we have a hard time wrapping our mind around that it's already there.
Right. Right.
Because we're tapped into not just, things are not a static state. Everything is constantly shifting and we're tapped into the field outside of ourselves.
Absolutely. And that is
we are the field.
It's part of the shift of perception that I'm talking about in LEAP, which is we're so used to what I've been calling old perception now, which is linear. So, it's like past, present, future. We have plot lines, story lines, everything's in lines, right? You beginning, middle, end. And we think that way. We're expecting a process. But as life accelerates, and it has been for a long time, getting faster and faster and faster and faster, we come more and more into the present moment. And then in a way, it's like the present moment just expands out and includes the past and the future. Mm-hmm. So everything is known in that ball of reality that is your present moment. And it is your conscious mind as well. It is your present reality as well, but so in that ball are many, many frequencies of possible realities. Some you've lived, already. They're there. You can tap into them and remember them just by putting your attention into them. Mm-hmm. Then they come alive again. Or you take your attention out of it and they fall back into the field and just rest there. So if you think of a future, so-called future, that you might like to have, even if it's just like, I need a new computer, you can picture yourself in that possible reality that's already in you at a frequency where the computer is now in your reality, and enter that little movie. It's like a little ball of a movie, and you can step into it and feel it, happening now.
Yeah.
And it's all about attention, not intention, because intention now is futurizing, right? And it's linear. Attention is present moment, and all you do is place attention on anything, and you can know about it. And the more you stay with it and pay attention, you go further and further into the thing you're noticing, right? So if it's a flower, you're going to go into that and feel, what caused it to bloom and why it smells the way it does and its joy of life. And, just the whole thing of if you were the flower, you merge with it, you know? And that's what I mean by feeling into now, that phrase of it's not emotions, it's sensing with your attention how something is in its essential form, and then getting so close to it that you become that, and then you know it firsthand. And that is empathy, really. And that's what we're doing a lot more of today, I think. And so attention on a possible reality allows it to suddenly show up in your field. It actually emerges out of the field. So I don't really like that term, the law of attraction, because that makes it seem like there's a separate world outside of you.
Right.
That you have to get something and reel it in, and hold it. But really, all you do is change the frequency of your field of energy inside the ball to match the thing that you want, and you keep your attention on it gently and lovingly, no force. And it loves you back. And so it comes to you, and then there it is. And that's why they say sometimes, the universe takes care of the logistics.
Yeah, stay out of the how.
Things just arrange themselves so that this kind of thing can manifest out of the particles, Yeah. And then if you want to get rid of something, you take your attention out of it and it fades back into the field.
Yeah. And I love how simple it can be, really. Simple, but not necessarily easy. Holding your focus and attention. And I can see how in those moments, fear drops away. There is you're simply being, you're in that state. And so everything unlike that frequency or that state falls away.
That's right.
Until you shift your focus and say, oh my God, how's that going to happen?
Right. And then you go back to the left brain because it's used to being in control, and it says, yes, but. And then it throws a wrench in the works, and then you have to say, wait a minute, I know what I like. Go back into your home frequency, into the state you like to be in, get quiet, get out of your language, and go and step into that reality again and let your body feel it. Because then once the body can, get it, it can become physical. If it's just conceptual up here, it hasn't dropped in frequency enough. You see, what we're doing is attention helps things actually slow down and drop into physical form.
Oh my gosh, Penny, there's so many different directions I want to go with this. So hopefully I can hold on to them all. Okay, so I would love for you to explain for those that have never come across your material or haven't heard the term home frequency. Please explain what that is.
It is, well, first of all, backing up, thinking that we're so accelerated now that we're able to sense energy, where before we used to think of ourselves as kind of solid bodies separated by empty space, and that old slow way of thinking led to a sense of separation and fear. But as the frequency goes up, we start to feel ourselves vibrating. And then that vibration changes depending on our thoughts or our emotions or who we're near sometimes. And we can easily pay attention. I could pay attention to you if, and you're in a good mood, so I'm in a good mood, and so we match or frequency match things that we're around. If you go into a house that's ugly or dark, you might get the chills and not feel very good and really want to leave, and you allow your own frequency to drop. So when you look outside yourself, we get this kind of of experience of a frequency that just goes up and down constantly, and we never know who we are. But inside of us, there's always one standard vibration that is the soul. And when the soul is in the body, coming through the personality, really, it's like, the best you've ever felt, that when you're happy with yourself, you're proud of yourself, you're ready to smile and be surprised, and anything happens, it's fine, it's just the way you like to feel good, and the way you enjoy yourself. And everybody has a slightly different way of experiencing that. Sometimes it's a kind of motion that people have. Sometimes it's a state of being that's very like cheerfulness or sincerity or, adventurousness or whatever. So if you recognize what your state is, and sometimes I call it your preferred state. If I could feel the way I really like to feel, it's like this. And so if somebody around you is in a bad mood or trying to bring you down, nobody can bring you down unless you say so. So you can let them be the way they want to be, and you can be the way you want to be, because there's plenty of space for everybody. So you have a choice. And so that's partly why I think a big habit we have today is first recognize your own home frequency, your original state or your preferred state. Look in a baby's eyes, you see it. It's right there. It's ready to be happy. And yeah, and then just get centered back in that again, and get your body full of that. Fill yourself with it. Let it saturate your emotions. Let it saturate your mind, and then you're in tune with the soul. And so what comes through you comes from that higher level, and it's always appropriate. It's truthful, it's authentic, there's very little distortion. And then you learn to recognize that when that kind of information comes through and it feels just right, you prefer it over those shoulds of the left brain. And you start to be able to discriminate then between information that's coming in alignment with your purpose and who you really are, and then information that's coming out of the past or somebody else's opinions, like an overlay on top of you. And then you just can say, hey, I'm not interested. That's boring. That doesn't fit me. What I like is this one. And then you choose and choose and choose, and you build that habit. And then pretty soon that's normal for the body, and it takes over.
So are you able to change and elevate your baseline, your home frequency? Would that be a goal? So you're able to manifest easier?
Yes, but it doesn't mean that you're running at high speed and really, it means usually more you're calm. And I always think of it as kind of an excited peacefulness. It's, and some of the longer, like delta brain waves and theta brain waves, they're slower. They look slower, but they're actually higher frequency consciousness. They bring you in touch with spirit and stuff. So, yeah, I don't think there's a good frequency or a bad one, because some of the lower frequencies, you have to go into them to delve into things or to concentrate and, change a watch battery or dig a hole in the ground or something. You need that to do that. It's physical. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. We need to not just be floating around.
Right. And we need not to be fear-based is really what it is. You can have contraction and focus of concentration, which slows the frequency and also changes the size of your sphere, right? When you're really open and high frequency, your sphere of the moment goes way, 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 way out. And, you can access the Akashic records or, the universal mind. And then when you come back down at your computer and you have to do a task, okay, then now you're focusing down and in. And then it goes out again. You space out, and then you come back in. And it's constantly moving. Yeah, but you're center of it, see, always right in the center.
Yeah, it's interesting as you're talking about that. I noticed that I have trouble shifting from when I complete an interview like this, and then when it's time to shift out of that and think in more linear ways, like, I got to do this and this. It's definitely challenging for me to shift back once.
Yeah, it is. Until you really learn to just hone it down to the moment.
Hmm.
Don't project ahead. Oh, I have all these linear tasks to do. Just think, oh, the next thing that interests me is I'm going to, make a list of things I have to do, or the next thing is I'm going to edit this video, and that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And just one thing at a time.
Yeah. So I want to talk more about the spherical holographic reality, this new perception.
Hmm.
What is that like? What does it feel like? What are we gonna? Yeah. What is
It,
this?
I think it comes from, first of all, everything being in the present moment. And when you get in the center of yourself and you realize that your reality is a ball around you,
Hmm.
and when you meditate, it's easy to feel that you're walking around inside of a ball, and it's moving in and out. But you don't go outside of the ball ever. If you need more of the unified field, it just encompasses it. So
Mm-hmm.
really, there's no outside world. And this is something to get used to, is like, okay, there's no past and there's no future. Everything's already in me at different frequencies. I know everything. It's all in there. Anything I need to know, it's there. And if you need to know something, it will show up in your present moment. You don't go get it. And you never get outside yourself. And then you realize, hey, if everything's inside me, then it's all pretty friendly, because if I know about it, then it must know about me. And, it's mutual containment, really.
Mm-hmm.
Your ball now contains me and mine contains you, so there's a kind of a communion that goes on when you think that way, you know. And so then things start to get a lot easier and faster. And you don't leave home from your center point to put your attention on another possible reality. You just bring it into your experience, and there it is. And pretty soon it just comes out of your field.
Yeah, I love
You
that shift, that you're not projecting outside of yourself, but you're,
right. Yeah. Everything's inside,
yeah.
but at different frequencies. And so therefore you can't get rid of anybody. If you don't like somebody, right, where can you put them? No, they can't be gotten rid of. so, so, but you can let them be,
Hmm.
and they don't have to be inside your inner sanctum. They have plenty of space in the sphere to hang out and do their life. And if you're not that interested in that particular frequency of what they're doing, don't put attention on them.
Hmm.
They'll dissolve back out into wherever they need to live, and the people who are on your wavelength, who match you, they will show up. So I call it more the law of emergence rather than the law of attraction, because, really whatever's vibrating with you, you don't even have to attract them. Somehow the energy just combines, and then you are in each other's fields. You show up. There's a kind of a convening of people of like mind. And I think we see that happening already.
Yeah.
Lots of people are connecting
Hmm.
now, and much more rewarding relationships for work and co-creation are coming. So that's nice. And it doesn't mean you reject anybody.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of if you resist someone, you're still giving them attention, right? So you maintain them in your field.
Sure. And so when we have something that we want to manifest or we want to create, we want to have in our experience, and we're not seeing it in physical form manifest. What do you say is the way to have that emerge for us?
Mm-hmm. There are a number of reasons, I think, that are good reasons why things don't always materialize when you want them to. It might not be the right time for the other people who are involved. It might not be the right time for you, that you need a couple other insights before that thing will really come together. And it might be that either you're not imagining it strongly enough, or that you don't feel deserving enough, or something, but I don't think that it's about punishment. It's
Like the carrot, the dangling
right,
carrot.
right. No, I think there's a good reason for it, It's just a consistency. Just
Mm-hmm.
keep on with it, and don't get upset. I've had my refrigerator broke, and then they came and replaced the compressor, and it started making this high pitched squeal. And then they came back and said, "Okay, this is the compressor." They replaced that, and it still made the high pitched noise. So it's tomorrow will be the eighth visit of the repair people,
Oh
and I'm
no.
like, "Okay, what is this that that is not happening, right?" And so part of it is not to be irritated. I'm learning a lot from just being even minded about the whole thing. And yet I think there's a certain time where you set your limit and say, okay, now's the time. This
Mm-hmm.
is it. You know, I've learned to be patient, and now it's time.
Now it's beyond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, we all have something in our life that is reoccurring or keeps like poking at us. Is it as easy as, well, I say easy, but it's not easy to shift your focus on to something that you want when you have that noise just like in the background. You're listening to this
Hmm.
screeching noise.
Right.
But how do we do that? Do we, is it just like discipline of, okay, I'm going to take my focus off that and focus on a fixed
Well, for me, I
refrigerator?
think it is look at again why is this occurring, and what am I noticing about this, and and then get back into your center again, calm down, clear away the noise, literally in yourself, and I'd say ask for it. Truly, feel it, the reality of the thing working properly, or the people that you need to work with showing up, and just keep reaffirming it
Mm-hmm.
until you feel like this is so normal to have it working this way, or to have these people in my life. This is normal, you know.
Penny, some people would call this delusional. You
Yes,
know,
I know.
where we're like, we keep imagining and we're stepping in, and we're meditating and visualizing and practicing these states of being, and then when we open our eyes, reality is still in
Hmm.
this same form.
Right. Well, I think that's partly because of the habit that we have of letting the left brain be so dominant
Mm-hmm.
that it created, the refrigerator breaking down, so that when I open my eyes, it's still broken down, and I can go, see, it's still
Yes.
broken. You know, and I can say, no one supports me. You know,
I'm
and
right.
yeah, right. I'm right. See, no one else hears the noise but me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so clear that, get back into the this place where it's working fine. And I think that there really is a law of the universe that says that the physical reality is created from the non-physical reality. We have inner blueprints for whatever we do, whether it's to create a new business or write a book or have the refrigerator work perfectly. There is an energetic consciousness and energy pattern of harmony,
Mm-hmm.
and excellence and beauty that we can create and hold within ourselves, and then hold within our field. And then whatever comes out of that field has to come through that filter. And if you hold the yes but that, well, maybe sometimes it's that way, but a lot of times it isn't that way for me, you know, then there's something about your doubt
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that you're wrong. It's that you're just giving into the kind of imperfection of the world. But then again, if something happens that you didn't see coming, that seems like a snag,
Yeah.
thing
Out
you
of
don't,
left field.
yeah, then you say, okay, this is in the flow too. Maybe this is keeping me from doing this next thing, and I might have been trying to do that prematurely, or
Mm,
I could have left the house at the wrong time and gotten into an accident, or who knows. But that's the way I explain it to myself, is that
yeah.
everything's in good order.
Yeah, because it seems like we too often jump to the wrong conclusion, or we assume the worst. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this traffic, I'm going to be late to my appointment or
Right.
whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of times a reason for it.
Yeah, yeah, it works out. The flow works it out for us somehow. So, and that's partly you just trust the flow again. To me, the flow is sort of the collective consciousness of all beings, working for the evolution of everyone. So, it will direct you into experiences you need to have in order to get lessons so you can clear a blockage, or so that you can create something that someone else desperately needs that you didn't know about. So it's always mutually supportive. And I accept that, that like I really do think these days that self-sacrifice is not a good thing.
Right.
It's not noble, because if you're not expressing your best, then other people can't get what they need to express their best, and that helps other people. And you've got to let the flow maximize.
Well, and I think that's really the key, is staying in that flow and not grasping at the old ways of thinking or the old belief systems. Staying in that flow and being in the moment. And then, you were saying earlier about feeling more and more into that moment, and then allowing that resonance to expand.
Yeah.
And it's fun to think about how our field, that we can really expand our field, and how, you can just feel it. It's so magnetic, and like you can feel everything vibrating, and it feels really good.
Yeah. There's like, when you're in the old perception and it's linear and based on separation, and you look at certain things, let's say like business and hierarchies in business, that seems like the normal way that a business should be organized. But as you raise the frequency and go into what I've been calling like the intuition age perception of the new perception, it seems so outdated. Like now everybody's competent to be a leader and a follower. Everybody learns from everybody else. So it's a flatter organizational structure, for instance, and so the leadership changes. Everything shifts to a higher form. Everything, marriage, sex, anything you can think of. In the old way, it looks one way. In the new way, it's totally rebuilt in an inspired way. And so same thing for if you think of a new project you want to do, if you think of it in the old way with the A, B, C, D linear process, and think it has to happen this way, it's going to be boring.
Right.
But if you stay in the moment and allow the synchronicities in the moment to come, and the people to show up, and even the people to leave who aren't needed, and the thing to be very organic, but then also you keep your vision straight. You check in and you have this very strong sense of the purpose and the intent of your vision, then, it becomes inspired. So planning is changing today. You can't really plan ahead a lot.
That's true. And I think about my own vision for the show, and it's very clear in my mind. I know for me, I'm not probably stepping into it vibrationally. I could really do that a lot more, but I'm finding that it's definitely shifting how with business that you don't have to do all the steps that we thought that we used to have to do.
Yeah.
It's all about, like you say, the synchronicities and feeling into, like, I feel inspired to just throw this offer out there, and maybe it doesn't make sense, but it's just like, it's incredible how that flow just happens, and the right people show up, the other people just fall away, and it's like this magical dance.
I know. Almost all you have to do anymore is think about the reality and really want it, sort of ask for it. And, the physical people and the non-physical people all cooperate.
Yeah.
I think the non-physical beings help us as much as the physical ones. And maybe that's to help with things like telepathy, or, getting ideas into people's heads, and that all the non-physical circuits that get connected. But, all you have to do is ask. And that is, your show has that feminine energy about it. And I think part of the divine feminine consciousness is that sense of everything is the unified field. It's all connected. There's total abundance. and all you have to do is put your attention on any of the variables in the unified field and combine them, and you'll get a reality out of it. And if you ask for it, it comes to you, because there's no conditions that you have to meet to be deserving enough to have it. You just have to know that you could have it.
Yeah. Yeah, and how fun to play with that and watch things manifest. So it seems like that old, what was it, Degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever the heck that was. Or separate. It seems now that, so in this new perception, this new reality, well, it's not a new reality, it's always been there, right? But we're just shifting our perception. So I could simply tap into Oprah's mind and download, some wisdom, or I can tap into, like, I can call on your wisdom anytime. So really it's a matter of just tapping into that.
Yeah, attunement, really, into getting your frequency at that radio station and dial in, and there it is. It's sitting, all knowledge is sitting there at different frequencies. All realities are basically knowledge as well. So just dial in. But then you have to maintain your concentration enough to make the connection, to let it drop into the physical and the emotional, where you can feel it as real, tactile, tangible. And then it will come. As soon as you get it to that vibrational level, it shows up as a physical thing. Before, it was a mental construct, where you could maybe see it or label it or something, but you have to drop it down through the senses, down through the brain, really, into the reptile brain, where then the body gets it and goes, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
It's not just you that's creating your own reality.
Right.
Right. And we think that with the New Age stuff, but it's really everybody's co-creating everybody's realities.
It's so
and
true.
You have the mechanism or the filter for allowing that to come in and actually take shape.
It's like your soulmate. I'm just using that term. It's like your soulmate is looking for you just like you are looking for them. And it's like you're co-creating this, and we have this idea that, I have to do XYZ, I have to go on these dating sites or go on all these dates. But in reality, you're both looking for each other.
Yes.
And it's just getting in sync. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Right. Yeah.
It's much more fun than we think it is.
I know. That's the thing about the shift out of the information age, which is very linear, into the intuition age. I'm just calling it that. But in that, it's more right brain perception and intuition and holistic, direct knowing. When you make that shift, it's almost like there are many, many ironies that occur. You think it's one way, but hey, it's just the opposite. And I keep running into those all the time, thinking like, the more enlightened you get, the harder it will be to find a partner. No, the easier it will be to find a partner, because they're right at that level, and there's lack of clutter, There's like, I used to think that I was so hungry to know all the details of every kind of plant and flower and names of trees and, everything in the world. I was so curious. And then I realized how exhausting that was, of me searching for it and getting it and learning it. And then I just saw that when you stop, it's all there anyway. And there was absolutely no effort, and that I do know it all. So it will come to consciousness when I need it, and there was like another kind of opposite thing. Stop trying.
Right.
Because you already do know. Then ask for the knowledge, and it will come up when you need it. But can't use all the knowledge at once anyway. It would blow you out of your life.
It all comes in perfect divine timing.
Yeah.
So,
I often think of it as like things on the shelf in the pantry, and that I take out the mayonnaise and the this and that, use it and put it back on the shelf, and it's there when I need it, but I don't have to have it with me and memorize it and hold it and carry it around all the time.
Right.
With the acceleration and the frequency rising, everything that used to be able to be subconscious and denied and suppressed can no longer be, because the frequency of that zone is too high now. And so everything that used to be down there is popping up to the surface. And it's coming into our conscious mind. And, in society, it's coming into the news and the current events and politics. And, so we're seeing it all act out. Where it used to be able to, sexual abuse or whatever was secret. So there really are, secrets are not able to be held very well anymore. It's
Right.
a low vibration that everybody senses it right now if somebody's holding back.
Yeah.
What's
Transparency
wrong?
is huge. Yeah.
And so I think that our sensitivity is starting to let us pay attention to so many nuances now of, every kind, truth and lies and beauty and not so beauty and what's meaningful and what's not meaningful and what's boring and what's interesting and like that.
So is that where dematerialization comes into play? When
Yeah.
the frequency, there isn't a match, and so everything unlike it has to come up to the surface to...
I think true. If you are asking for love, for instance, in a relationship, you're in love, and you want love. And so everything that isn't love comes up to the surface. And that's why people then go, well, I didn't see this about you, and you're not the person I thought you were. And, but that's just the natural process of clearing both of the energy fields so that you can actually be in love and a field of love together. And we don't understand that yet, but you're right. When you choose a higher vibration, everything that's not of that vibration comes up so that you can clear it and turn it into the higher vibration.
So
and
it's a good thing. It just maybe doesn't feel great.
It's totally part of transformation.
Yeah.
It's absolutely necessary, and once you learn to just go into and feel into the negative thing and find out what was the core belief that was under there. And usually it's a partially perceived experience where you contracted and went into fear over something and didn't see the whole situation. Like, hey, wait a minute, I'm an eternal soul. Yes, I died in a terrible way, but wait, here I am. I'm still here. Nothing really bad happened. So, and then it goes away. As soon as you really tell the truth, all that illusion just kind of dissolves.
Yeah.
And then you get more loving. And then you're stronger. And the next layer comes up, and then you can face it more easily. And it dissolves more quickly. And, so clearing is like, we're all in that process now, of just trying to clear. And then, of course, you clear your own, and then other people's stuff, you start clearing it. If your stuff comes up while we're together, then it's in me, so I'll clear it. I'll clear my part of it. And then it's easier for the other person to get rid of theirs because it didn't get matched.
It's like soul decluttering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And we're helping each other in doing that. Literally, really helping each other.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, because we're still manifesting.
Yeah.
It may not be what we think we want to manifest.
When that stuff starts coming up, you start materializing experiences that are partial because you're in partial perception. As soon as you clear all that partiality and see things holistically or as a unified self, well, then you get, holistic situations coming up that are very well balanced and, whole and soulful. But yeah, that's the challenge right now is when the subconscious, uploads into your conscious mind, you've got to stay steady and get centered again, and say, wait a minute, this is one of those partially perceived things that has caused me to contract. So open up and relax and let it untwist and show you the information that was in that experience. And then it goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting past that the fear that we're going to lose something that we want or something bad is happening. Yeah.
It's partly the fear too that if I give up my fear and then everybody else is still in fear, they'll hurt me. But no, it's not the way it works, because the more clear you get, the more compassion rules your life. And then the more safety you have. You actually create yourself being safe. And, unless martyrdom is in your life purpose, like
Yeah.
some people are. There
Yeah.
be very enlightened souls that come in to show people lessons, but otherwise, you'll be quite safe.
Hmm.
And, because you're not like indulging in opposition. As you clear fear, you give up conflict, right?
Hmm.
You don't have this.
Right.
You have this. All
Hmm.
positions are fine, and nobody has to fight over them because everybody's entitled to their own reality. And it's perfect,
Yeah.
their reality for each moment that they're in. And I think we do have to believe that souls always will get through to themselves. They will get
Yeah.
through to their own personality and burn off the fear at the right time, in the right way. They'll have revelations when they need it.
Hmm.
It's not up to us to like fix them,
Yeah.
right? But you can hold them in your mind telepathically, as a whole, complete person, that
Hmm.
you see them that way. So that when they're around you, they telepathically get that picture of themselves. Because everything's getting very telepathic these days.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
We are reading each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, anybody watching and listening, they definitely have had to had a shift in perspective and perception during this conversation, because we covered so many things. And oh wow, I know I'm gonna have to go back and watch myself a few times, because there are so many bits of wisdom in here. And this is a new way that we're of being that we're stepping into, and it's really exciting. It's super exciting, to have this new way.
It is. And that's, we just need to have people understand what's happening, that negative part of it is just the clearing part.
Hmm.
We're already fine. The soul doesn't need to evolve. It's already evolved, but the mind got in the way.
Yeah.
That's my idea, that we just have to get the mind that's been acclimated to fear and is self-protective and egotistical out of the way so that we don't feel separate anymore. And then the whole, flow of all the beings starts helping each other. And then talk about the speed of evolution. Oh my goodness, it's just zoom, it's going to go like crazy.
Yes.
And and I think not everybody in the world has to do this all at once either. There will be a kind of critical mass of people who move into this kind of convening in that frequency, the home frequency, and they'll start co-creating, and organizations will form, and then they'll overlap and merge, and there'll be all kinds of joint projects and puzzle pieces fitting together. And I think a lot of the world's severe problems will be solved very quickly when that kind of thing happens.
Hmm.
So it's more of a partly grassroots evolution where, like, in the energy industry, it may be that the old dinosaur oil companies and that old way of thinking with the good old boys network, is going to just be too slow.
Hmm.
And it won't be able to suit the needs of the people in the world, and more people will be innovating new ways that are much more exciting. And then the attention from the masses is going to go on to the exciting new ideas,
Hmm.
it largely. And the old dinosaur ideas are going to be like, really boring.
Yeah.
And
They're gonna be like the brick cell phones, or the corded phones. To be like, who needs that?
right. Yeah. And yeah, so, and then again too, I think there's another thing where we're so right now in the information age in the left brain that we're thinking the gadgets and the machines are doing it all for us. And that's a kind of a horizontal way of thinking that's just in the physical world. It's not acknowledging the spirit merging in with the physical plane,
Hmm.
which is happening. In other words, a better way to see that would be that the physical plane, the physical world, is going up in frequency so much that it's matching the non-physical realms now. It used to be really separated in frequency. So we thought heaven was out there above us. But now it's in the physical world with us, inside matter, and so we're constantly in this flow of going into the inner and getting the imaginal realm and coming back and doing something, then not holding on there and going back into the inner and making this kind of round trip between the realms. And they're constantly feeding each other now, and sourcing each other. So, anything that takes too long or that isn't inspired enough and that doesn't take into consideration human innate abilities, so I was saying we're becoming telepathic, but there are scientists that are trying to wire together monkey brains so that they'll have collective consciousness in the physical world. Yeah. Because they want to prove it physically, but we already know it can happen just through meditation. So I'm a little worried that everybody's so dependent on cell phones and iPads and all of this stuff that they're not developing their own internal precognition and telepathy and clairvoyance and so forth. But it will come. It has to come. It's just going to. And our abilities will always be better than the machines.
Well, I already can see that, the computers and machines, they can't keep up with us. I mean, it's becoming very clear.
Yeah. And so that spirit in the body, spirit in matter, is the thing that will allow the machines to come out of that field to assist us. Just like the left brain is the assistant. It's not the boss anymore. The right brain, the heart, the field, that's the boss. The left brain now is the implementer, right? And so are machines. So I'm just watching that tendency now in society for the computer scientists and biological scientists that are joining together and, talking about nanobots in your brain and stuff like that. I'm like, okay.
We're already ahead of it, but yeah. Oh my goodness. Penny, we could sit and chat for like hours, but that's the thing about this show. It's like it's still in physical reality. So we haven't time. But thank you so much for joining me on the show today and sharing your wisdom and bringing this information forward, because it's so needed, and I'm so excited I'm going to be tapping into your mind.
Okay.
I'm going to be like, okay, so what would Penny be? What's she thinking about right now?
I actually had a friend the other day email me and said, I'm in a really good mood today. I feel really warm and full and bouncing. She said, you can have some of my energy. Just come and ask for it. And I went, okay, I will. I think we can do that for each other.
Definitely. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.